Bluetooth headphones have gotten really good recently, but which ones are actually the best of the best? I've tried dozens of pairs of headphones, and the stereotypes for who has the best ANC or best sound aren't always true. In fact, I have 6 of my favorite pairs of headphones on the desk in front of me, and the most expensive ones are not always the best. In fact, in some categories, they're actually the worst. So in this video, we're going to compare the 6 best pairs of Bluetooth headphones in 12 different categories, and these categories cover the entire spectrum of what you'd be using these for, from sound quality to ANC, transparency, microphones, features, comfort, and more. And for each category, I'll rank them 1 through 6. So by the end of this video, we can add up all the scores and see who is the ultimate winner. And I think we should start off by introducing the contestants here, going in order of most expensive to least expensive. Starting off, the most expensive ones at $549 are the brand new Apple AirPods Max 2. These just came out a couple weeks ago, and although they look essentially identical to the previous generation, some updates under the hood really bring these to the next level. Slightly cheaper than that, a pair of headphones that you may have never heard of. These are the Sennheiser HDB 630 headphones, which in a way are a sequel to the Momentum headphones, although they address some of the biggest issues of the Momentum headphones and make them sound absolutely incredible, and added some really cool features as well. Moving down slightly in price again, in 4th place for price, we have the Sony WH-1000X Mark VI headphones, a classic pair of Bluetooth headphones that is $459, so pretty much middle of the pack here, and they have a lot of features, pretty well balanced across everything, and I couldn't make this video without including these, or the next contender, the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra Gen 2 headphones, another fairly new pair here at $449. I guarantee if you board any plane anywhere in the US, you're going to see at least a handful of these on your flight. And at the exact same price, also $449, the JBL Tour 1 M3 headphones. And these have a really unique trick up their sleeve, a little device called the Smart TX that I'll explain later in the video. And the cheapest of the set, which by no means is a cheap pair of headphones, but at $399, the Sonos Ace. These came out a couple years ago. They're Sonos' first pair of headphones, so I think we should dive into one of the most exciting tests right away, which is the active noise cancellation, which is not as linear and one-dimensional as many people think. So I want to give you a couple tests here. The first one is lower frequencies. So I play the sound of a jet at a set distance away, I turn that volume up until the headphones are no longer able to block it out, and I record the decibel level. So in last place here, we have the JBL headphones, blocking 57 decibels, which is still decent, but distinctly more noise coming through than the other headphones out there. In 5th place, we have the Sennheisers blocking 58 decibels, and with these, it's quite interesting. It sounds a lot lower pitched, which means it's blocking higher frequencies better, which is likely due to the really nice foam that they have on here. Makes sense for this pair of headphones, and I'll explain why in a minute, but they're in 5th place there for ANC. Then 4th place, we have the Sonos headphones, which are blocking up to 59 decibels. Although I have to say with these, the engine is doing an excellent job of crushing low frequencies, and the higher overtones tend to break through a little bit more than the other headphones. So these are probably blocking slightly more than they're getting credit for, but they're perceived to block less because those high frequencies go through. And a couple years ago, that was a really common form of ANC, and these would have easily been tied in 1st or 2nd place. But nonetheless, 4th place. Moving on to 3rd place, the Apple AirPods Max 2 blocked 62 decibels in my test, although they are really interesting. They take a second to adjust, like you put them on, they're blocking sound, and then they start blocking more sound. So it's adaptive ANC based on where you go. Bose came in 2nd place then, just barely behind 1st place, and they trade blows depending on what frequencies you're blocking. But for the sound of a jet, they were blocking 64 decibels in my test, and then in 1st place, just 1 decibel better than the Bose, the Sony headphones blocked 65 decibels, which did a pretty even job blocking all frequencies. It compressed it a lot, but you weren't getting any, high or low frequencies sneaking through like we saw on the Sonos headphones. But those are low frequencies, and that's not everything. ANC needs to block more than just the lowest sound. So my second test is higher voices, people talking, chatter, stuff like that, which is generally a lot more difficult for ANC engines. So going in last place, unfortunately, twice in a row here, the JBL headphones. This one I didn't measure in decibels, I measured in volume level that I was using on this device, and these were blocking up to volume 18. Then the Sonos headphones blocked up to volume 21. So these went from 4th place down to 5th place in this test, which makes sense. As I said before, the higher frequencies are a little bit of a struggle for the Sonos headphones. They do an excellent job with the low frequencies though. In 4th place, the Sennheiser headphones blocked up to volume 22. In third place, the AirPods blocked up to volume 23. And tied in first place here, the Bose and the Sonys both blocked up to volume 26. So if you're trying to block out frequencies of any range, the Sony and the Bose really were trading blows, like I said, in first place here, and they did an excellent job. Now, by the way, YouTube launched this new feature that lets me like tag the product. So it's gonna be down below on this little shelf thing or in the description. So if you guys wanna click on that and you wanna check out all the different colors, you can do that. It supports the channel at no extra cost to you. So again, they'll either be like stickers if you're on mobile or somewhere down below you can see those. Next category, design. And for this, I'm looking at durability, I'm looking at appearance, I'm looking at materials, anything related to how these are physically made. And this is admittedly a little bit subjective, but I want to keep it as objective as I can. So in last place here, in my opinion, are these Sennheiser headphones, because they have a very plasticky feel. They're only available in one color. They clearly were not optimized for appearance. Not to say they look bad, but you know, compared to the others, these were made for one main purpose. In fifth place, the JBL headphones. These come in 3 different colors. I actually really like the way they look. Very minimal, kind of rounded, a little bit slimmer, but they are very jiggly, like extremely jiggly, and they feel kind of cheap. Like if you held these with your eyes closed, you probably wouldn't know that they were $400 headphones. They feel a lot more like maybe $100 headphones. Then in fourth place, we have the Bose headphones. These wobble around a lot. They feel a little bit cheaper, but that's mostly because they're incredibly light, which will make a lot more sense in a future category. They are very plastic feeling everywhere, but I have to say, the kind of leathery texture on the ear cups and the headband do make up for that. They are quite premium and they look nice in my opinion. They come in 5 different really nice looking colors. This one, I think it's like sandstone or something. I'll show you the colors on screen here, but a very nice like metallic accent there. But the Bose logo is quite big. I kind of wish that was a little bit smaller on the side. In third place, we've got the Sony headphones, which these are much more minimal, but again, they don't really rattle as you wiggle them around. They feel pretty nice in my opinion. The previous generation would not have ranked as well because they used to have a hinge problem, but from my testing on these and from everything I saw on Reddit and everyone else I talked to, the hinge problem doesn't really seem to be around anymore. Like I haven't experienced it and everyone I talked to didn't experience that either. These come in 4 colors, and I like that there's no big brand logo on the side, so I really like the way these look. In second place, this one might be controversial, but the Apple AirPods Max 2, I actually really like how they look. They're a really solid pair of headphones, like feeling them, you've got them all aluminum ear cups on the outside, so very durable. They come in 5 different colors. The slider is just among the best out there. It's so smooth and really well done. You got a metal headband that is perfectly flexible, but very solid feeling as well. And although they only rotate one direction, just like, you know, the removable ear cups, everything about them is just very well built and well designed. And then in first place, what I actually would have assumed Apple AirPods Max would look like originally, the Sonos Ace. These headphones are the most premium of the bunch in my opinion. The slider is also very high gloss metal, very premium feeling. The ear cups look minimal. There's 2 different colors. It's just a really well designed pair of headphones. Like I said, you would never guess that this was Sonos's first pair of headphones ever. Even the controls have a nice accent and they feel very smooth and premium when you're using them. Okay, now, so far, this comparison kind of seems like Sennheiser and JBL is falling behind, but I assure you they will have their time to shine soon. We're honestly just getting started. But back to, remember I said ANC, great for blocking sounds, but maybe you don't want to block everything around you. Which of these does the best job with transparency? Well, unfortunately in last place here, Sennheiser just wasn't really good in this category. You got a lot of hissing. They do have adjustable levels, which I appreciated, and you can actually adjust them on the ear cups themselves, but it's just not really a very natural sound. In 5th place, JBL had a little bit of hissing. They were mostly natural. They had the correct volume, but they had a major cupping sound. It felt like I was doing this the whole time, and that's what the transparency sounded like. In 4th place, the Sonos headphones did a pretty decent job with very little white noise. The volume was maybe a tad low, but the real drawback for them is they seem to amplify little like small sounds a little bit too much. So like rubbing your clothes or clicking on a keyboard just sounded a little bit too loud to me. In 3rd place, the Sonys had a bit too much emphasis on those same frequencies as well, like your jeans or rubbing clothing. They did have less hissing and they sounded a bit more natural, but they didn't compete at all with the first 2. 2nd place here, Bose. This makes sense. Bose has been in 2nd place in this category for years. Absolutely amazing and excellent job here. Very, very little white noise, incredibly natural sounding, but without a doubt, first place here, the AirPods Max. These are the gold standard in this category. Wearing them sounds pretty much indistinguishable from not wearing them. You can hear where things are. There's no white noise. It just sounds really nice, very natural. And they also have loud sound reduction. Some of the other ones on this table do as well. But if somebody, like dropped a piano next to you on the street, it's not going to reproduce those loud frequencies into your ears. And of course, none of that matters though if you don't have comfortable headphones. So I have two categories here, comfort and fit. I say comfort is more like when you're wearing them, how does it feel to wear them? And fit is how well do they stay on your head when you're doing things, running, doing push-ups, whatever. But starting off with comfort, in last place here, we have a three-way tie actually, so I'm going to call it a three-way tie in fourth place, the AirPods Max. These, while they are fairly comfortable, are incredibly heavy. These are the heaviest on the table. The premium materials are very nice, but you get that drawback of, metal headphones are gonna be heavy. They're somewhat breathable, they're not super hot, and they do have a fairly gentle clamping force, but I do get fatigued just from the weight of them after a little while. Then also in fourth place here, the Sony headphones, they have a very shallow ear cup. So while I really like everything about how you wear these, I don't like when I put them on, my ears like touching the back right away. I can always feel that. I wish that we had slightly deeper or more puffy ear cups here, ear cushions, and maybe you can get aftermarket ones, but that was a problem I saw with these. Otherwise, gentle clamping force, even weight distribution on the head, really minimal fatigue except the shallowness, and I did have some temperature problems. It felt like a little bit warm on my ears. And then the third one, which is again tied in fourth place here, the Sennheiser headphones are a bit shallow. Like I can feel that with my ear when I put it on. And I mean, otherwise, average comfort. My ears get a little bit hot and the clamp is a little bit strong, but they have a very large range in sizes. I think these all fit a good number of head sizes out there. And I can definitely wear these for a few hours, no problem. Like they're really not bad in the terms of comfort. But in third place here, so definitely significantly better, the Sonos headphones, very smooth ear cups here, kind of like a gelatin. It's hard to explain this foam. It's a really soft, like very satisfying foam feeling there. And they have a little bit of heat when you wear them, but really not bad. They're not too heavy. They bend well. They're plenty deep for my ears. I think these are incredibly comfortable. But in second place, the Bose headphones, mainly because like they're so light, and it's in their name. They're the quiet comfort headphones. It was clearly a priority for Bose to make these optimal for somebody who's going to go on like a 15-hour flight. And these, like I haven't flown that long with these. I've flown like 8 to 10 hours with these, and it's so comfortable. I also wear them like many days when I'm working all day. Lightweight, very, very soft, an ideal depth for the ear cups so my ears not touching it. Really no heat on these. The headband does a great job. So really, these are incredibly comfortable, and I could wear these absolutely all day. And then in first place here, for those who are keeping track, this is the first time this brand has come in first place in this video, the JBL headphones. Super soft cushions here. They bend around really well. A very soft band, very gentle and even clamping force. It's like they're not even on your ears. You have a very wide range of sizes, just incredibly comfortable. My ears don't get too hot. They're plenty breathable. These just did an excellent job in comfort. So props to Bose and JBL. I could wear those for infinite time without any discomfort. But let's talk about fit, which is almost the opposite. You want clamping force for fit, you want gentle for comfort. So I'm not saying that everyone's going to wear these when they're doing push-ups or burpees or running. Many people won't. They're expensive headphones. But let's be honest, if you're buying nice headphones and you're gonna go for a run, a lot of people are gonna end up using this. So I did a push-up test, doing push-ups with all these to see how much they fall off my head. And unsurprisingly, in last place here, the AirPods. Mostly because of the weight, they fall off after like one push-up. In fifth place, the Bose headphones had a really gentle clamping force, and I think that was the main reason that they ended up sliding off. They lasted a lot longer than the AirPods, but still, they came off. In fourth place, the Sennheisers, again, fairly large, chunky headphones sticking out, kind of unsurprising that they didn't stay on as well. In third place, I was pretty impressed by how long these stayed on, the JBL headphones. I think it's because the clamp is just so evenly distributed, and maybe it's just my head shape, but these were pretty optimal in terms of the fit and the comfort design. In second place, Sonos stayed on surprisingly well. I think they have a slightly stronger clamping force than the others on this list. And then in first place, the Sonys, mainly because they have a slightly different geometry. They're a little bit wider and then down instead of the other ones, which are more of an arc. These stayed on very well. But if I was gonna go for a really long run, I would be confident Sony would stay on my head well. Now, let's talk about the microphones.
This is an indoor microphone test with the Sennheiser HDB630 headphones. They're connected using Bluetooth directly to my phone by aptX. This is not using the dongle, but I'll test it again using the dongle to see if that sounds any different. This is a second indoor microphone test with the Sennheiser HDB630 headphones, this time using the little USB Type-C dongle. Let me know if you hear a difference. This is an indoor microphone test using the microphones on the JBL Tour 1 M3 headphones. This is an indoor microphone test with the Sonos Ace headphones. By the way, I can hear my voice quite well, and it's a pleasant experience using these. This is an indoor microphone test with the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra Gen 2 headphones. I can hear my voice incredibly naturally. It sounds like I'm not even wearing headphones, and speaking on the phone with these is it's really an A+ experience. But how does it sound on the other end? This is an indoor microphone test with the Sony WH-1000X Mark VI headphones. Again, these have a pretty nice pass-through where I can hear my voice while I'm speaking, and talking on the phone is a pleasant experience with these.
And this is an indoor microphone test on the Apple AirPods Max 2. The video looks a little different because this is connected to an iPhone. The others were connected to an Android for the optimal experiences. And most people who have AirPods Max 2 will very likely be connecting them to an iPhone. So you can actually record videos using these as microphones, or you can use it for phone calls, of course, as well. But let me know how this sounds to you.
This is an outdoor microphone test with the Sonos Ace headphones. Let me know how this sounds. Does it block out the background noise? Are you able to hear my voice? And this is a test with the Sennheiser headphones. Obviously a lot of traffic. I can't tell I don't think the wind picked up, but I definitely hear it more in the headphones right now. But let me know how these sound. Based on the indoor test, I'm a little skeptical they're gonna sound good at all here. This is an outdoor microphone test with the Sony WH-1000X Mark VIs. And I realize I probably look really funny to all these people with like a backpack full of headphones filming myself, but I don't know. YouTube channel, I guess. This is an outdoor microphone test with the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra Gen 2 headphones with some traffic behind me and a gentle breeze. And now this is an outdoor microphone test with the JBL headphones. There's still traffic behind me, as you can see. The breeze is about the same. And before I filmed this, the left ear cup turned off. I had to adjust it a bunch. I think it's a loose connection.
Now this is an outdoor test with the AirPods Max. There's two different modes you could use. There's standard and there's voice isolation. This is standard and this is voice isolation. I think it's gotten windier now when I'm filming this. And again, I'm connected to an iPhone for the AirPods Max. That's just what makes sense. But let me know. I mean, this having options is pretty nice. Let me know how that sounds.
And for reference, this is what it sounds like out here. Just the microphone on my phone right now. It's pretty loud.
Okay, so kind of recapping what we saw there. Indoor microphone test, Sennheiser in last place. They just sounded like 2018 headphones. They were definitely behind the other ones. JBL had kind of inconsistent volume. I said Sonos was in fourth place because it felt like it was missing the S. Sony was a little bit overcompressed. Bose was really good. I think the frequencies sounded right, but AirPods sounded like maybe even better than my microphone, honestly. They did an excellent job. And then outdoors was kind of a different story. Sonos came in last place here because I thought it was too muffled. Sennheiser was in fifth place. It sounded much more natural, but I think there was just a little bit too much ambient sound being kept in there, which sometimes I appreciate, but compared to the others, Sony did an excellent job of blocking everything, but there was a lot of compression and focus on my voice, which kind of gave it too much echo, felt over-processed, and again, if you listen to the letter S in there, you'll hear what I mean. In third place, the Bose blocked everything very, very well, but definitely a lot of artifacts in there as well. Second place, JBL did a great job. I think that it was almost a tie in first place for them, but AirPods, I mean, once you have those two options in there, excellent, excellent job. Now, of course, probably the biggest category for a lot of people is going to be the sound quality. If you're buying expensive headphones, you need them to sound really good. So in last place here, unfortunately, the JBLs. They sounded decent. They have LDAC, some high-res codecs, but a bit less of a tight controlled bass compared to the other ones on this table at least, but still relatively neutral overall in their balance. I would say it's kind of boring. Like it was missing some clarity. It seemed to lack a bit of like the 3 kilohertz range. Could use more texture. The cymbals were a little bit mushy and there was some distortion going on. But number 5 for sound quality, the Sonos Ace. They were quite warm due to the bass boost and they have a very typical U-shaped tuning with a boost in the highs and the lows. So the highs give you more perceived clarity. Overall, it was pretty pleasant and they do have Snapdragon sound, which gives you high resolution codecs if you're using an Android phone. But just a tad dull, not terrible. The EQ in the app is a little bit weak. I wish there was more options in the EQ. In fourth place, Bose is very consumer focused. I think a lot of people who don't know a lot about sound quality would probably find these to be their favorite. They're very lively. I think there's a little bit too much bass and too much treble. Kind of that V-shaped tuning I mentioned before. The vocals are clear and articulate. The soundstage is pretty decent. The bass is very deep and very punchy. they have a lot of energy. Like, they're fun to listen to, but again, kind of that real consumer V-shaped profile. The EQ is also fairly limited, but a bass reducer in there can do a good improvement for these. And moving up to third place, which might surprise some people because the AirPods Max do not have high resolution codecs, which some people really think is very important, but honestly, the tuning is way more important than that, and these did an excellent job with the tuning. They sound really good with pretty much any genre of music out there. They're very clean, great accuracy. They have a slight emphasis on the highs and the lows, but very, very minimal compared to others on this table. Everything felt very tight, very well controlled. There's maybe a bit too much treble for cymbal-heavy songs, but honestly, there's really not much to complain about here. The only reason that these are not higher on the list is because there's a personalized EQ, yes, but there's no adjustments that you can really make. But there definitely are songs that would sound better on these than the Sonys, but I had to put them in third place here. The Sonys give you a lot of flexibility. They have SBC and AAC, as well as LC3 and LDAC. So those are the high-resolution codecs that work with a lot of Android phones. They do have a very pronounced, punchy bass, kind of that U-shaped profile I talked about before, but you have a 10-band EQ, so it is very easy to adjust it and make it sound how you want. Overall, I think the sound quality on them is not only very good, but very adjustable as well. But I mean, this is just no contest. The main reason the Sennheisers are in this video is because of the sound quality. Sennheiser absolutely dominates this category. These are the best sounding headphones on this table, and it's not even close. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One, they do have good high resolution codecs. So they have aptX HD, aptX Adaptive, different things like that. But maybe you have an iPhone and you don't get high resolution codecs with any of these except with Sennheiser, because in the box, they include this little dongle. It's just like this little tiny, looks like a tiny, tiny flash drive that plugs into USB Type-C. You can plug it into your phone, you can plug it into your laptop, plug it into whatever you want. Anything with USB Type-C, plug this in, and it connects, and then you're getting the high-res codecs that you wanted. You also have wired audio playback on here, and in the app, you have a full parametric equalizer. Essentially, this is going to give you the most flexible and the best sound quality, no matter what your device is. They have 42mm dynamic drivers, and I know I've talked a lot about like specs and what it can do, but how it actually sounds, it's very neutral out of the box, easily adjusted, overall great sounding pair of headphones. They really nail the details. They're tight, clean, accurate bass without any muddiness or boominess in my opinion, at least for Bluetooth headphones that is. And I mean, without a doubt, the best sounding Bluetooth ANC headphones on the market right now. But moving on to the controls. This is a really important category. If your phone's in your pocket, you want to be able to adjust everything easily on the headphones, and you want to never accidentally change things on the headphones. So in last place here, the Bose headphones. They have a nice touch slider on the back, which you can also double tap to open Spotify or your voice assistant. They have two buttons, so you can toggle between connections, you can power on off, you can, play, pause, skip songs, and you can change the modes. But it's fairly limited, and it's only on one side. In fifth place, the Sonos headphones. I actually think these are incredibly well done, but they don't have a lot of controls. So the button is just super premium, very, very intuitive. You can slide it up and down, and that's going to be your volume. You can press it, you can double press it, press and hold it, triple press it, and that's going to be a lot of your playback controls. And below that, you have a button you can toggle between ANC and transparency, or you can hold it for your assistant. So I really like that. And on the other side, of course, you have your power button. Really solid controls, honestly, but the other headphones just have slightly more. So in fourth place, the AirPods have a rotating crown and an ANC button. There's no power button, but you can nod and shake to interact with Siri. Overall, zero customization on here, but again, that rotating crown, very intuitive, and the Siri interactions also help a lot. So you get to talk to Siri to, skip songs and do stuff like that. In third place, JBL did a pretty good job here. And although, on the headphones, you've got a touchpad on the right, so you can, tap it once, twice, three times, tap and hold. You got volume rocker on the left side, essentially. You've got an ANC button, and you have a physical switch to turn these on and off. And the big trick with these headphones is this little Smart TX module. So you can plug this into, maybe you're on a jet, for example. They've got a little screen on the back of the seat in front of you, and you want to use Bluetooth headphones, but you can't connect by Bluetooth. Well, instead of doing wired connection, you can just plug this in with a wire, and you can control everything on here. So you're able to control the ANC, you're able to control the volume, control a lot of things on this little touch screen right here. This also works if you're plugging into a number of other devices, similar to what Sennheiser did with theirs, and I think that's very useful. It's really a nifty thing they have, and unlike the Sennheiser one, you can control everything with the headphones. It's basically like having the app on this device right here, not needing your phone around all the time. Unfortunately, the controls for the headphones are not super customizable. And then in second place, the Sennheiser headphones. They have only one button on the entire pair of headphones, but they have a touchpad, which does surprisingly more than you think. You can swipe up and down for volume, forward and back for track selection. You can pinch in and out to control transparency and ANC levels specifically, so keep pinching to get more or less ANC. You can swipe and hold forward and backward to fast forward or rewind. You can tap to play and pause. You can double tap to toggle ANC and transparency. Honestly, it's pretty clean. It's pretty intuitive as well. And although it takes a little bit of time to get used to, I actually think it's pretty great the way they do that. Then in first place here, just because we have so many controls with these, the Sony headphones. You can swipe for volume, you can slide for track selection, just like Sennheiser. There's a button for the power, a button for the noise cancellation. You can tap and hold for the assistant. You can palm the ear cup to get transparency and just like speak to somebody, or like, what if you want to hear an announcement or something like that on a plane. You can also use speak to chat. So if you're wearing them and you just start talking, it detects that. It turns your music down, it ducks, and it essentially like turns on transparency. You can hear everything. You can press noise canceling twice to open Spotify or some other shortcut like that. You can press it 3 times for another shortcut. There's also head gestures on here. There's voice commands to Sony. You could say, hey, headphones, pause, and you can control your songs like that. So that was a lot. There's a lot of controls there, but I have to give them first place just because you have so many controls. Even if you don't use all of those, you have so much flexibility. Like, you don't need to have your phone on you at all. And of course, one of my favorite categories now, the features and the app. So there's so much variation in what you can do with headphones that depending on why you're using the headphones, one pair might be significantly better than the others. Before I get into individual ones, starting high level here, these all have some form of spatial audio except for the Sennheiser ones. Also, for wired audio playback, Sony is aux only. There's no USB playback on there. I don't know why they did that. Bose and Sennheiser both have USB and aux wire inputs, and the other ones are only USB-C inputs. You can get adapters for them to go to like 3.5 millimeter, but again, you need an adapter for that. Also, all of these have some form of multi-point connectivity, but it's a little bit different on them. The AirPods Max, they can connect to any Apple device and seamlessly switch between many of them, but they cannot switch between like an Android phone and a MacBook, or an iPhone and a Windows laptop. Like, it just doesn't work like that. The Bose headphones have the best multi-point in my opinion, which basically means you can connect to 2 devices at once. If I'm on my laptop watching a video and I get a phone call, it'll seamlessly switch over to the phone call, and then when I'm done with the phone call, it'll switch back to my laptop. It's a really great feature, but Bose goes one level further and lets you connect to more than 2 devices at once. They'll seamlessly switch between 2, but you can press the button on the right side to toggle between the devices. And if you're like, all right, I really want to connect to my work phone right now, just keep pressing it until it tells you it's connecting to your work phone, which is really well done. So we have a tie in last place here. One of them is going to be the Sonos headphones, which have one really cool feature, which is called TV swap, which allows you, if you have like a Sonos soundbar, and your TV's connected to that, you're watching TV, and then maybe your wife's going to bed. You don't want your TV to be really loud, so you just put on your Sonos headphones, you can switch seamlessly, it'll connect to your headphones, and now you can watch your TV with these headphones, which is actually a very good experience and one of the best executions of essentially the 360 audio I mentioned before, where you can wear this and it feels like you have surround sound. When you're watching TV is the perfect time to do that. Sonos does that incredibly well. But in the app, you can see there's not a whole lot we can do. We can see like the status, you can toggle aware mode, which is transparency, or ANC. You can customize it a little bit, but like not really much. The EQ, as I said before, very limited. You've got a 2-band EQ and balance left versus right. We've got multi-point connectivity, and that's kind of it. There's not a whole lot you can do with this. But these are first-gen headphones. They're really well executed on so many other things that I can't really blame Sonos for not having more features yet. Then tied in 5th place, the Bose headphones. As I said, easy to toggle between multiple connections, which is awesome. They also have custom modes, so if we look at the app and I go to modes, I can have one set for like running or one set for different, whatever. And if you go to each one, let's go and customize this. You can change the noise control, you can change like wind blocking, different things like that. Let's go to aware so I can hear myself. The modes are a cool thing that Bose has, and you can toggle between them by which ones are starred. That's gonna be how you switch between them on your headphones. Otherwise, there's not much these have. Like, they're very basic in terms of what features they have, which is a little surprising. I feel like Bose could have added more here. In 4th place, the Sennheiser headphones have some really cool features. That Bluetooth transmitter is a huge one. Being able to plug into anything. Think about all the things that either don't have Bluetooth or don't have good resolution codecs or are just annoying to connect to. You could just go and boom, plug this into whatever you want. You go to a library, you have a different computer, boom, you just plug this in and your headphones are connected. It's an awesome thing to have. These also in the app, as you can see, I would actually say it's actually a really well done app in my opinion. You have personalized sound, so you can choose, hey, I'm listening to like a podcast, I'm listening to whatever, different things. You also have a bass boost real quick. And as I mentioned before, you've got the parametric equalizer, which I can go and edit that. And you'll see we can adjust individual frequencies by tapping and holding. You can move them up and down. You can change your Q value, which is how tight that band is right there. Overall, I think, let me go back and not save this. It's so cool that you're able to do all of that on there. You also have the graphic equalizer, which is just like a 5-band EQ here, a lot simpler. Or you have that sound check thing that I mentioned before. We also have crossfeed. So even though these don't have a surround sound, crossfeed is meant for like older recordings that are like really heavy LR. So this will like kind of mix it. So all right, a little bit left, a little bit right. Is it all mixed together? So that's essentially what it's doing. We've got connection management, so you can toggle between what these are actually connected to, sort of similar to Bose, but it's done on the app here. Of course, they also have multi-point connectivity. You can find your headphones. You have sound zones. So kind of Sony does something similar to this, but where you are, like your phone's gonna recognize, all right, we are at work, we want these settings. We are at home, we want these settings. You can't really customize the controls, but they show you all the controls here. That's kind of useful at least to see that. And you can manage the tiles. So if you want the app to look different, maybe you constantly access one thing or another, you can change that right here. It's kind of interesting they're in second place here, but hear me out. They don't have a power button. They don't have an app. Like you can connect them to Android phones, but you can't do anything then. Like they'll play back and they'll work as a microphone, but you can't update them. You can't change the settings. But on an iPhone or on a Mac or anything like that, they do have some pretty great features. They have speak to chat, so I can just start speaking, much like I mentioned before with Sony. It'll duck, it'll turn the volume down so I can hear the conversation. It's really well executed. There's a camera remote, so if you set your iPhone up, you don't have to be wearing these. You can just push the button and hold it behind your back if you wanted to. They also have live translate. They have conversation awareness. They have the full Apple ecosystem suite of features, adaptive ANC. They come with a free engraving if you want to. Like they're just really well done in my opinion as far as features go. In second place, the Sony X Mark 6 headphones have a ton of features. So taking a look at the redesigned app here, we can, of course, go to all device settings if you want to dig into every single one, but you can customize your little shortcuts here. So they have some cool ones. One of them, I mean, the equalizer is not a cool one, but I'll dig into that in a second. One of the cool ones is called listening modes, where depending on what your settings are, you can have background music, which means your music plays and it sounds like it's in the room around you. You can go into cinema mode or just standard mode. We also have like the 360 audio options here. We have adaptive sound control, which much like I was describing a minute ago, when you move around, it's going to detect that and change your settings. So if you're on a bus, you want ANC. If you're at home or at work, maybe you want transparency. Those options are all on here. And although this looks like there are not a lot of options on here, Sony has an enormous amount of settings and options in here. You have DSEE Extreme, which is upscaling. You have different scene detection, as I mentioned. You can mute or unmute on calls. You can customize what your sound quality is. You can make sure you have the right codecs on here. You can customize your controls, which a lot of these headphones have very little customization for the controls. You have the voice assistant, as I mentioned before. You can change your quick access. Are you opening Spotify or Amazon Music? And as I mentioned, the equalizer, I think it's a 10-band EQ here. Pretty decent overall. So a lot of features on Sony. And in first place, the JBL headphones, mostly because they have that smart TX unit. It allows you to connect and control with any 3.5mm port. So on a plane, maybe like a tablet, TV, laptop, projector, stereo, whatever. It's also like, it's cool. It also acts as a universal Auracast transmitter, which is really cool. So if you have other headphones that work with Auracast, you can both watch like one screen and you're not like, all right, 3, 2, 1, press play. Like you can both connect headphones to the same thing with Auracast and watch on the same screen. This could also be used with like a TV at home, for example. There's a lot of things you could do. In the app here, this is a very well done app in my opinion. You've got the ambient sound control settings there. You have Smart Talk, which is similar to what I mentioned on the AirPods and the Sonys. If I just start speaking, it'll do the ducking, it'll turn on transparency, I can talk, and you can choose how long is it going to last, 5, 15, or 20 seconds, which the other ones you can't actually customize, so I do appreciate that. You have personal sound amplification, more of an accessibility feature, I would say. You've got the audio and video modes. You can see the gestures. You can't really customize them that much, but you can see what they are. They also have this Silent Now feature, which is going to basically disconnect from your phone, and it's good for like taking a nap or just kind of focusing in on some work. It can play some different sounds, and you can set how long it's actually going to be, and it'll alert you at the end of it. So I think it's mostly designed for taking a nap. So it disconnects from your phone. It'll reconnect after like 4 hours or whatever amount of time you set. A really cool feature that I've just never seen on any other pair of headphones. You can also go to audio and change, what your codec actually is. You can set up spatial sound. You've got just a lot of settings in here, which I think is quite impressive. And over in other, you've got relax mode. If you want to just play some white noise, maybe like you want a campfire, whatever, there's going to be customizing what I was showing you before, and you can hit play as well for that. So I think these are really well done. Honestly, the app, the Smart TX thing, there's so much that these headphones do, and I feel like they do a lot of that fairly well. But the next category is, of course, the cases. This is something that if you're traveling, it's going to matter a lot, and I couldn't exclude it from this video. Without a doubt, in last place here, the AirPods case just leaves a lot to be desired, in my opinion. It leaves so much exposed here, and I mean, the benefit is that they can be in the case, you can still charge them, and you can hang them up next to your desk. That's kind of the only main benefit of this case. Otherwise, while it does mostly protect the ear cups and the aluminum, it's a very soft case. You have to put it in the case in order to turn them off. So a lot of the cheap aftermarket cases don't work. But obviously this is like, this mesh here on my first gen AirPods Max definitely got really damaged and wrinkly because it's always exposed. However, you can spend like $100. I found this leather case. It looks kind of like any of the other headphones cases. It's a hard shell case and it has a little magnet in there. So it should work to turn off your headphones the same way this smart case does from Apple. But nonetheless, this case is in last place, no doubt. In fifth place then, the Sonos case is a little bit large. It has this neat little pouch on the inside, which I do appreciate. It's like my Nana's old coin pouch. You squeeze it and you can get your cables out of there. It's also magnetic, so it stays in the middle of the case, just with magnets. But the zipper on this, it feels like it gets hung up all the time when I'm closing it. Like right there, it got hung up. And the little handle for the zipper can easily get stuck in the little ridge where the zipper was. And it's like you really got to dig your thumbnail in there to get it out. So not the best way to open and close a case. We have a tie in third place, the JBL case, solid. Hard case, large pocket. It kind of has Velcro in there as well, so it holds everything in. You've got a loop and a carabiner on the outside. Overall, a really good case. I like it. And the tie in third place is the Bose case, which is the most compact of all these cases. It makes sense. This is optimized for traveling. You've got a zipper. It's a semi-hard case, so it protects your headphones well enough. It has one pocket on the inside for all your stuff, but you do need to really fold your headphones in a specific way to make them fit in there. Decent case though, I like it. And we have a tie in first place. So these are very different cases. I'll go with, one that I think is probably the best, but I'm calling it a tie in first place. I really like the Sony case. It is a very hard case. It is very, very compact as well. You've got a nice loop on the top, and the main benefit is you don't need a zipper. You can open this with one hand very easily because you have this magnetic closure, but it just never opens on its own. You think a magnet would not be good, but it's magnetic over a little latch there. So very well done. Props to the Sony engineers for doing this. The only thing is you really have to get used to how you fold your headphones to get in here. And the pocket is a little bit small, so while you can fit a 3.5mm cable and a USB cable, the included one is it's only 6 inches long. Come on, Sony, you can give us a bigger cable than that. But yeah, definitely A+ case. I think it's only a matter of time until everyone else in the industry is copying that case design. It's very popular. People like it. And I'm saying tied in first place, even though it's a really large case, but a very well done case. This is the Sennheiser one. It's a very hard shell. You've got a pretty nice zipper on there, a loop on the top if you want to hang it. And the benefit of this one, deep pockets, no weird gymnastics with your headphones. They just fit right in. And there's everything you need in here. You've got a dedicated pouch for the dongle, a dedicated pouch for the adapter. You've got a dedicated little pocket with a little strap on top for the USB cable, as well as the aux cable. You've got your user manual in here. You just have an extra pouch on the bottom in case you need it. This case has everything. I could travel with this, and although it's bulky, it's a good case. Sennheiser didn't cheap out on this. And now the last category before we add up the scores, this is battery life. In last place, AirPods give us 20 hours of battery life. Tied in third place, Sonos, Sony, and Bose all give you 30 hours. In second place, JBL gives you 40 hours, and this is all with ANC on. If you turn ANC off, JBL goes up to 70 hours. But in first place, with ANC on, with everything connected by Bluetooth, Sennheiser gives you 60 hours in the headphones, which I think is pretty awesome. Now, one drawback. Near the end of my testing, the JBL headphones stopped working in the left ear until I moved the headband back and forth a bunch and turned it. So I think it might be a loose connection. I'm gonna give them 1 penalty point for that. Could do more because I think that's a really big downside, but you know what, maybe it's just my unit, I don't know, maybe it's a one-off thing. And now let's add up the final scores. Now I care a lot about sound quality, so I'm giving that a 2x weight in here, and then just adding everything else up. And the lowest score is going to be the best. This is like a golf score. So in last place, with 58 points, the Sonos headphones were the best for price, best in design, but they lacked some features, and they fell behind slightly in a few other categories. Nonetheless, a very, very impressive first attempt at headphones from Sonos, and these are a great pair that are very recommendable. In fifth place, the JBL headphones. I honestly could put these in last because they broke. Like for me personally, that's just such a big problem, but these have 57 points, so 56 plus that one penalty point. Honestly, amazing idea with that little extra module to connect to planes and other devices, but they fell behind in the microphones, the sound quality, the ANC, and the build quality. Overall, they were very comfortable, they fit very well, but they didn't quite come away with the win. In fourth place, the Sennheiser headphones with 53 points. These were here for one reason and one reason only, the sound quality. If you want good sound, these proved that these could also hold their own in a lot of the other categories. They're not a jack of all trades, but they're good enough in every category, and they are without a doubt the best in sound quality. In third place, the AirPods with 51 points. Great microphones, great transparency, great ANC, and great sound. They nailed the fundamentals, but they're heavy and they lack a case. Honestly, I think Apple's really close, and I think that they could make these number one on this entire table with a few simple fixes. So if you're in the Apple ecosystem, don't feel confined to these, but there definitely are plenty of perks in the Apple ecosystem for the AirPods Max. In second place, with 48 points, a top contender with lots of first and second place positions in this video, but features, controls, and sound quality knocked them out of first place. These are the Bose headphones. For travel, the lightweight, excellent ANC design, compact case, like these are obviously ideal if you're doing a lot of flying. But the jack of all trades with 35 points, absolutely number one in this video. They came in top 3 in pretty much every category except for comfort and price, I think. And they came in number 1 in a lot of categories. A solid choice are the Sony WH-1000X Mark VI headphones. I think that, me personally, I would love to get different ear cups on these. Maybe some aftermarket ones would help, but otherwise, just really across the board, very solid headphones. So which ones should you buy? Well, it depends. Do you value comfort, sound quality, ANC? Feel free to pause the video here and add up the scores and multiply your favorite categories by 2, or even remove some categories that maybe you don't care about. Then, whichever one has the lowest score is going to be your best pair of headphones. And if you want to order them, you can support the channel at absolutely no extra cost to you by going through the links I have down below. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for hanging out with me, and be sure to leave a comment on which headphones were your favorites.